I let out a long sigh as I packed up my laptop. Another grueling day at the office finally behind me. As a software engineer at a leading tech company in Seattle, my days were often a marathon of coding, meetings, and problem-solving. But I didn't mind the workload. It was the price I paid for a career I genuinely loved. As I stepped out into the crisp evening air, my mind drifted to Miley, my wife of 6 years. We'd met in college, and from the moment I laid eyes on her, I knew she was the one. Her infectious smile and adventurous spirit had captured my heart. Even now, after years of marriage, she still took my breath away. But lately, something had felt off. Miley, who worked as a real estate agent, had become more distant, her once warm embraces replaced by a cool detachment. I tried talking to her, but she always brushed it off, claiming it was just stress from work. As I drove through our quiet suburban neighborhood, I couldn't help but wonder if our marriage was in trouble. But I pushed those thoughts aside, determined to make things right between us. I pulled into the driveway, surprised to see Miley's car already parked outside. Usually, she worked late, but tonight she was home early. A twinge of hope fluttered in my chest. Maybe we could finally have that long-overdue conversation. As I approached the front door, I heard muffled voices coming from inside. Miley's voice, laced with a strange urgency, and another man's voice, unfamiliar and deeper. Curiosity piqued. I inched closer, straining to make out the words. "We can't keep doing this, Miley. He's going to find out eventually." My heart skipped a beat. Who was this man, and what were they talking about? Miley's response sent a chill down my spine. "Don't worry, Andrew. I have a plan. We're going to confront Matthew together, and he'll have no choice but to accept our arrangement." I felt like the wind had been knocked out of me. Andrew? Her colleague from work? And what kind of twisted arrangement were they talking about? Fumbling for my phone, I quickly opened the voice recorder app and started recording, desperate to capture the damning conversation. I swung open the door. Miley and Andrew were shocked to see me. What the hell is happening here behind my back? A few moments later, their shocked faces turned cold and confident. "Matthew, we need to talk," Miley said, her tone flat and emotionless. Andrew stepped forward, his imposing frame looming over me. "Look, man, we were just talking about you. We have a proposition for you," he sneered, a twisted smile playing on his lips. My heart pounded in my chest, but I forced myself to remain calm. "What is it?" I asked, my voice surprisingly steady. Miley took a deep breath, as if steeling herself for what she was about to say. "Andrew and I want you to sleep with us. All three of us together." I recoiled, repulsed by her words. "What? That's insane." Andrew's eyes narrowed, and he took a threatening step forward. "You don't have a choice, Matthew. Either you agree to our arrangement, or we'll make sure you lose everything. Your job, your reputation, your life as you know it." Rage boiled within me, and before I could stop myself, my fist connected with Andrew's jaw, sending him stumbling backward. "Get out of my house," I snarled, my hands balled into fists at my sides. Miley's expression twisted into a sneer. "You'll regret this, Matthew. We're just getting started." True to their word, Miley and Andrew launched a vicious campaign to destroy my life. Rumors began circulating at my workplace, painting me as an unethical and unprofessional employee. Friends and acquaintances started giving me sideways glances, whispering behind my back. But I wasn't about to take their attacks lying down. I had anticipated their moves and taken precautions. During one of my regular check-ins with my boss, Linda, I played the recorded conversation, exposing Miley and Andrew's despicable scheme. Linda's face paled as she listened, her expression shifting from shock to anger. "Matthew, I'm so sorry you're going through this," she said, her voice thick with sympathy. "But don't worry, you have my full support. We'll get to the bottom of this." Over the next few days, I shared the recording with my closest friends, clearing my name and revealing the truth about Miley and Andrew's twisted motives. One by one, they rallied behind me, offering their unwavering support. Miley and Andrew's plan had backfired spectacularly. Instead of ruining me, they had only succeeded in exposing their own deceit and malice. With my name cleared and Miley and Andrew's true colors exposed, I knew I couldn't stop there. Their actions had crossed a line, and I was determined to make them face the consequences. As I sat in my living room, still reeling from the shocking revelations, my phone rang. It was Daniel, my best friend from college and a former cop. "Hey man, I heard what happened." His gruff voice crackled through the line. "That's some serious messed up shit." I let out a long sigh. "You're telling me. I don't know what to do next, but I can't let them get away with this." There was a pause on the other end before Daniel spoke again. "Look, I know a guy, an old buddy from the force who's now a private investigator. If anyone can dig up dirt on those two snakes, it's him." A glimmer of hope flickered within me. "Really? That would be incredible. I'll pay whatever it takes." "Don't worry about that," Daniel insisted. "Just say the word, and I'll set up a meeting." 2 days later, I found myself sitting across from Daniel's friend, a grizzled ex-cop named Mike. His steely gaze sized me up as I recounted the sordid tale of Miley and Andrew's betrayal. "So, you want me to look into these too?" Mike asked, his voice gruff but tinged with curiosity. I nodded, my jaw set with determination. Whatever it takes to expose their lies and illegal activities. I want the truth to come out. Mike's lips curled into a wry smile. "All right then, I'll see what I can dig up." Over the next few weeks, Mike's investigation yielded a treasure trove of incriminating evidence. Miley had been skimming money from her real estate dealings, pocketing hefty commissions, and hiding the funds in offshore accounts. Andrew, it turned out, had been involved in an elaborate money laundering scheme, using his position at work to funnel illicit funds. Armed with this damning information, I knew it was time to strike back. "You can't be serious, Matthew," Miley scoffed, her eyes narrowing as I presented her with the divorce papers. "After everything we've been through together?" Andrew, who had invited himself over, sneered at me from across the room. "This is a mistake, man. You don't want to do this." I met their gazes with an unwavering stare. "Oh, I'm deadly serious. The marriage is over, Miley. You made sure of that the moment you decided to betray me with this scumbag." Fury flashed across Andrew's face, and he took a menacing step forward. "Watch your mouth, you little—" "I'd be careful if I were you," I interrupted, holding up a hand, "because I have evidence of both your illegal activities, and I'm not afraid to take it to the authorities." Miley's eyes widened, and she exchanged a panicked glance with Andrew. "You're bluffing," she stammered, but her voice lacked conviction. With a grim smile, I handed them a thick folder containing the damning evidence Mike had uncovered. "See for yourself. Your little schemes are over." As they scrambled to process the information, I dialed the police department, calmly reporting their crimes. Within the hour, officers were knocking on our door, ready to escort Andrew and Miley in for questioning. Over the next few weeks, the legal battles raged on. Miley's real estate license was suspended pending an investigation, while Andrew found himself facing charges of money laundering and fraud. Through it all, I remained steadfast, determined to see justice served. With Miley and Andrew's lives crumbling around them, I decided it was time to take the fight public. I knew their reputations meant everything to them, and I intended to strip them of that last shred of dignity. Reaching out to a local news station, I arranged an interview, ready to share the sordid tale of their betrayal and criminal misdeeds. The reporter, a seasoned journalist named Karen, listened with rapt attention as I laid out the shocking details. "So, let me get this straight," she said, her brow furrowed. "Your wife and her lover not only tried to coerce you into a twisted arrangement, but they were also involved in various illegal activities?" I nodded grimly. "That's correct. I have evidence to back up every claim." Karen's eyes widened, and she leaned forward, her notepad at the ready. "This is a bombshell story, Matthew. Are you prepared for the fallout?" A steely determination settled over me. Absolutely. They made their choices, and now they have to face the consequences. Within days, the story hit the airwaves and internet, spreading like wildfire through the city. Miley and Andrew were thrust into the harsh glare of public scrutiny, their once respected names now synonymous with deceit and greed. Miley's social circle, comprised of wealthy real estate tycoons and socialites, turned their backs on her in disgust. Andrew, meanwhile, found himself unceremoniously fired from his job, his professional reputation in tatters. As the scandal unfolded, I watched from the sidelines, a sense of grim satisfaction washing over me. They had brought this upon themselves, and now they were paying the ultimate price. In the aftermath of the media firestorm, an eerie calm settled over my life. Miley and Andrew had retreated, licking their wounds and nursing their bruised egos. But I knew better than to let my guard down. These were two people driven by desperation and a complete lack of morals. Sure enough, one evening there was a pounding at my front door, loud and insistent. I peered through the peephole to see Miley and Andrew standing on my porch, their faces twisted with rage. Taking a deep breath, I unlatched the door and flung it open. "What do you want?" "You think you've won?" Miley spat, her eyes blazing with fury. "You've ruined our lives, Matthew. Destroyed everything we'd worked so hard for." Andrew stepped forward, his massive frame looming over me. "This isn't over, man. Not by a long shot." I met his gaze unflinchingly. "It's over when I say it's over. You brought this on yourselves with your lies and criminal actions." Miley let out a bitter laugh. "Oh, so self-righteous. You always did think you were better than everyone else." "I'm not the one who tried to force my husband into a twisted sexual arrangement," I shot back, "or embezzled money from clients, or laundered illegal funds." Andrew's fists clenched at his sides. "You little—" "Andrew, stop." Miley held up a hand, her expression hardening. "He's not worth it. Let's just go." As they turned to leave, I couldn't resist one final jab. "By the way, I already called the police. They'll be here any minute to arrest you, Andrew, for your illegal activities." Miley whirled around, her face pale with shock. "You're bluffing." The wail of sirens in the distance answered her question. Within moments, squad cars pulled up to the curb, officers spilling out onto the lawn. "Andrew Mitchell, you're under arrest for money laundering and fraud." One of the officers barked, slapping handcuffs on a stunned Andrew. "You have the right to remain silent." Miley watched in horror as they led Andrew away, her grand schemes crumbling to dust around her. In that moment, I felt a strange pang of pity for her. She had let her ambition and greed consume her, leading her down a path of destruction. But I quickly pushed those feelings aside. She had made her choices, and now it was time for her to face the consequences. The divorce proceedings were a mercifully swift affair. Miley, her reputation in tatters and her finances in disarray, put up little resistance. As we sat in the courtroom, the air thick with tension, the judge cleared his throat. "Mr. Miller, given the overwhelming evidence of infidelity and fraud on your wife's part, I have no choice but to grant you a divorce." Relief washed over me, a weight lifting from my shoulders. The judge's gaze shifted to Miley, her once radiant beauty dulled by the strain of recent events. "Mrs. Miller, you will be required to vacate the marital home within 30 days. Mr. Miller will retain sole ownership." Miley nodded woodenly, her eyes downcast. "Furthermore," the judge continued, "custody of the family dog, Max, will be awarded to Mr. Miller." At the mention of Max's name, my heart clenched. Our beloved golden retriever had been a constant source of joy throughout our marriage. Losing him would be yet another cruel blow for Miley. As we filed out of the courtroom, Miley lingered behind, her shoulders slumped in defeat. For a fleeting moment, our eyes met, and I saw a flicker of the woman I had once loved, now lost beneath the weight of her poor choices. Without a word, I turned and walked away, Max trotting loyally at my side. It was over, and a new chapter of my life was about to begin. The months that followed were a whirlwind of change and self-discovery. With Miley and Andrew out of the picture, I found myself rediscovering the simple joys in life that I had taken for granted. I took up hiking, reveling in the crisp mountain air and the beauty of the Pacific Northwest. Max was my constant companion, his boundless energy and wagging tail never failing to bring a smile to my face. Slowly but surely, I began to reconnect with old friends, sharing laughs over beers and reminiscing about the good old days. Their unwavering support had been a lifeline during my darkest moments, and I vowed never to take them for granted again. And then, one sunny afternoon in the park, I met Emily. She was a breath of fresh air, kind intelligent, and with a warmth that instantly put me at ease. As we strolled together, our conversation flowed effortlessly, and I found myself opening up in a way I hadn't in years. Over the following weeks and months, our connection deepened, a bond forged on mutual understanding and respect. Emily accepted me for who I was, flaws and all, and in her eyes, I saw a future filled with love and laughter. As for my career, it continued to thrive. My colleagues rallied around me, offering their support and admiration for the way I had handled the tumultuous situation with Miley and Andrew. I poured myself into my work, finding solace in the familiar rhythm of coding and problem-solving. And as I lay in bed each night, Emily's soft breathing beside me and Max curled up at our feet, I couldn't help but reflect on the long, winding road that had brought me here. The betrayal, the pain, the struggle for justice, it had all been worth it in the end. For the first time in years, I felt truly at peace, a sense of freedom and contentment washing over me like a gentle wave. The shadows of the past had been banished, replaced by the warm glow of a future filled with promise and possibility. This is where our story comes to an end. Share your thoughts in the comments section. Thanks for your precious time. If you enjoyed this story, then please make sure you subscribe to this channel. That would help me a lot. Click on the video you see on the screen, and I will see you there.